So this video is all about how you can use RightBooth as a graphics design package. Now, people ask me how to create images that can be used in RightBooth for things like overlays and intros and outros and that kind of thing. Now, before I show you RightBooth and how you can use RightBooth, let's look at some of the packages that you can buy. Photoshop is a very good one, but it's £20 a month and it's a subscription basis, which is a lot of money, to be honest with you. Canva Pro is quite good, but again, it's quite expensive, £10.99 per month. There is a free version, of course, but you have to be connected to the internet, and it's not ideal. And there are lots of other packages around, but really, for the sorts of things you want to design for your video overlays and that kind of thing, RightBooth can be just as good. Now let's show you how to do it. So I'm going to create an event in RightBooth that I'll be using purely for my graphic design work. So let's do that. Create. The only one that's interesting to me here is an information event, which will create an event that's got no screens in it, apart from the start screen, I think. Let's just do that. So I'm going to click through all this quickly. I'm not bothered about any of this information that I'm going through here. I'll just choose Canon and click continue. So RightBooth is creating me a brand new event file. And before we start, I'm just going to save this as graphic design. Okay, let's go into the editor. And as you can see here, all we've got is a single screen, a start screen. I'm not even bothered about this start screen, to be honest with you. I can even delete this. So what I'm going to be doing in here is I'm going to be creating screens, and each screen will have a graphic design on it. So let's do the first one. Add items, screen. I'm going to call this design 1. Here we go. So the first thing to decide is how big are you going to make your final image that you're going to design. So let's say that you're recording videos at 1000 pixels by 1000 pixels, so square videos, and you want to create an overlay for those. So let's do that. Go to properties, and we set the size of the screen to be the size of the image that you want to create. So width is 1000. Height is 1000. So this now is our effective working area for designing our overlay image. So what do? Well, we simply add objects to it. The first thing I want to do is to add a border. So let's have a look at the borders that you can have. So that's done in image. Let's go for borders and frames, and there's quite a few to choose from. Now these all come from the RightBooth media library, but obviously there's plenty more to choose from on the internet. I think what I'll do is I'll go and look for one that I'm going to use. Now the place I tend to go to is a website called Pixabay, and here we are. So it's pixabay.com, and I've just run Pixabay. It's free. Everything that you get in here is free for download and commercial use. I've just typed in borders here and pressed the search, and this is what it's come up with. So there's plenty of images, and they're all, as I say, they're all free. This is page 1 of 95, so there's a lot to choose from. Now on the very first page here I saw this image which I quite like. So I've clicked it. I'm going to download this one, free download, and I'm going to go for the 1280 by 852 download. Let's download it. Here it is. So I'm going to right click on this, show in folder, and here's my downloads folder with the image. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to rename it first. Let's call it gold frame. Now I'm going to cut it, right click, cut, and I'm going to put it into my pictures. And here we can see gold frame. downloaded something that I want to use in RightBooth. So let's go back to my editor. So how do I get that image in here? I choose Image. Now this is the RightBooth Media Library. It's not in there, it's in My Images. So let's go to, it's in My Pictures, sorry. So let's go to More Images, Gold Frame, and here we go. Now if I click on it, you can see that it's sized at 1000 by 666. So RightBooth has already resized the image to fit onto my screen. But I want to make it fit the whole screen, so I'm going to change that to 1000. And I'm going to set it to stretch. Now if I just put that at 0, so here we can see now that we have this image on top of the screen. The next thing I want to do is to add some text, so I'm going to go for a label object. And I'm designing an overlay for a wedding, so let's say it's congratulations on your wedding day. Let's put it up there. Let's change the positioning. Let's make it a little bit bigger and so on. Maybe we can change the colour scheme a little bit, so I could go for yellow, something like that. What else could we do? We could add another image perhaps. Let's have a look. I'm in the weddings section of the RightBooth Media Library. There's lots of things in here. Let's get some rings. Let's take those, put them down there. So that's quite good, quite like that. Now what we need to do next is to save this as a file, an image file that we can use. So the way to do it is to right click, capture screen. Now as you can see, it's prompting me to save this into the backgrounds folder of the media library, the RightBooth Media Library, and it's prompting me with a name. So let's save it as Design 1. I'm going to save it as a JPEG to begin with. Let's have a look. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to show you the image that RightBooth has created. So if I just go to the media library, now you can look at it in Windows Explorer. I've already got the media library open here, and it's to be found at Users, Public Documents, RightBooth 7 Library, Images, Backgrounds. That's where this image has been saved. So let's just scroll down here, and there you can see design1.jpg, and it's 1000 by 1000. And it's 324 kilobytes. So that's just a JPEG image. And there you go. Now, the problem with this image is that it's got this grey background colour on it, this fade gradient. So if you were to use this as an overlay over anything, you wouldn't see anything because of this grey background. So what we need to do is to save it as a PNG file. So let me just shut this down. I'm going to task switch back to RightBooth. Now, if I save this as a PNG file, it will also have this grey background on it. What you need to do is to remove this background altogether. So what you do is you click on the screen, which I've just done, and here are the screen properties. So before I do that, let me just click partly on this image. If I click on the image, we've got image properties, okay? But if I click on anywhere on the background, so clicking through this image onto the background, I get the screen properties. Now here you can see that the background is a gradient between these two colours. So what I want to do is set the background to be a single colour. Click on the colour itself, Now the colour is this grey colour, but it's also got an alpha channel which is fully opaque, which means that the grey is visible. But if I just slide this back down to here, you can see now that the background has disappeared altogether, and all we've got is the workspace colour for the screen showing through. Now, if I right click and capture this screen, this time I'm going to save it as a PNG file, and I'll call it design1 again, and I'll save that one. Let me go back to the folder, the backgrounds folder. Now you can see that we've still got design1 JPEG, which has got the opaque background on it, but we've also got this design1.png, which is the same size in terms of its dimensions, but it doesn't have a background colour on it. If I just double click this and open it, it's hard to tell here, but there's actually no colour there. And if you include this image on anything in RightBooth, it will actually be a total overlay with a transparent background on it. Okay, let's try another one. So I'm going to add another screen. Let's call it Design 2. This time I'm going to make it 1920 by 1080. So in other words, a HD size screen. Here we are. What I'm going to do this time is I'm just going to use items from the RightBooth Media Library. So let's go for an image. I'll go for borders and frames. Let's take, say, that one, keep it easy. Position it so that it's top left. It's easier to do it here actually, so I'll make it at 0, 0. I'll make it 1920 by 1080. And as you can see, it doesn't fit because it's not being stretched, so I'm going to stretch it so it fits. Okay. Now let's just populate this. So let's just go for some stars maybe, if I can find them. Here we go. Let's put that one on. Put it up there. Let's have another one. We'll do this as a birthday, so we'll go for a few balloons. Oh no, those are backgrounds, sorry. Where are we? Actually, let's try banners. That one looks quite good. Put this down here. So I could probably use that to put a piece of text on saying happy birthday. So let's do that. Label happy birthday, Joe. Put that there. Let's make it a little bit bigger. Let's change the colour. Something like that. Okay, now I want to save this as an overlay with a transparent background again, so let me just click on here. So I'm looking at the screen properties, and remember we need to change this colour to transparent and set it to be a single colour background like that. So this bit's very important, so you always set the background. If you want a transparent background, make sure you check the single colour option on the screen properties, then click on this and set the alpha channel to 0. Now if I right click on this, capture the screen, I'll call this design 2. Now remember, you must set this as a PNG file. Let's save it. I'm going to task switch back to the backgrounds, and here we can see now that we've still got design 1, but we've also got design 2. So I hope you can start to see that you can start creating your own graphic images in RightBooth and save them all inside one event file if you wish. And then at any point in time you can come back to here and just change these and capture the screen again back to a new image, and you can use these images in other event files.